Hey everyone, this is Dr. Russ Jones.
And Brad Kennan here.
We are wide open.
How you doing today, Russ?
I'm doing good. I'm happy. It was, finally the blizzard's gone. I was able to get in the woods today. It was great, man.
I tell you what, that blizzard that went through it was so cold when I went out, my teeth hurt. Seriously, I'm like smiling, trying to get my car clean. My teeth.
You were smiling, trying to get your car clean?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a natural smiler, I guess. So anyway, all right.
I felt out of shape today. I had some new winter hikers on, and you always read these reviews, and everybody's like, "Oh, they're great. You wear them straight out of the box. They're perfect. You can hike 10 miles." And I'm thinking, apparently not in Appalachia. Because tonight I feel like somebody beat me with the boots the whole 3 or 4 miles back out.
So you didn't get a pair of Steger mucklucks yet?
No, I did not. But I did look at them online. I ended up, these are like Kenetrex, which are, really high quality hiking boots, but they're like, they weigh 90 pounds or something. But, you need something to winter. I mean, it's still cold today. It was like 35 and it was icy up some of those hollows.
Right.
So,
Yeah, well, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
If you didn't hike so much, you wouldn't need such expensive stuff. But, you hike a lot. So
I do, and it's about the first of the year. So I start thinking about things I want to change about,
right.
Do I need to tweak some of my workouts? Do I need to get my diet cleaner?
Which is the question that everybody in America asks right now. We've all seen the memes about walking into the gym on January 1st. People are doing crazy. You go to the gym, I go to the gym. I don't go as much as you do. I still go several times a week, but I'm not as intense and crazy as you guys are. And it's right. For the first month, you'll see a bunch of people that you've never seen before. Yeah. Then you start getting the second month, that third month, that fourth month, and it's back to the regular people that you see all the time.
Yeah, they're gone.
So you just got to live with it. So that being the question, my question to you is, you see thousands and thousands of patients, week, month, years, all this stuff. And you're in Appalachia.
Yeah, however you want to say it.
So you run across people that, that stereotypically may not be the best in shape people in the world. They're not like Boulder, Colorado running every day.
No.
That stuff. So if you could tell anybody something to do for 30 days, the first 30 days, January 1st or 2nd, whatever that is, to the end of that first month, to help improve their life, that anybody can do, what would it be?
I always get in trouble because around Christmas or so, I always post a meme that says, "You were fat in October. Don't blame the holidays." And then, 7,000 of your patients on YouTube are saying that's not very nice. I mean, and then around to the first of the year, I always post an encouraging message to remind people. And I tell patients this, especially this time of year, you'd be thinking about, it's a new beginning. It's a new time for you to start doing this, to do something different. But it's hard for people, man. It's a challenge to, we're soft. I always, on that Facebook post, I'll say, you've given yourself enough cheat days, because that's what, you're doing things, and people will say, well, you need a day, you need some times that you can do this. But we're, by the next 20 years, they're saying 76% of the country will be obese. We embrace overweight people. It's a very poor lifestyle decision. I don't care what anybody says. It's, your quality of life is so low that now that if you do anything, you're fat shaming someone. And, and I'm probably just not the most tolerant person, because I'm very disciplined about, how I eat. And, I think, for me personally, if I'm lifting weights hard 3 times a week, and hard means not that you're doing Planet Fitness 2 laps around the little facility there. And every day of the week, you're getting 10,000 steps and you're eating clean 80% of the time. I'm happy with that if my patients are doing that. But in the beginning, I just tell them, give me 6,000 steps a day and I'll just cut an obvious sugar. Like maybe I'll say, and don't eat a bread and potato. So no bread, no potatoes, 6,000 steps a day, and talk to me in a month. And the ones that talk to you, you can go on and change things. But people have made it so complicated where, you can't eat any carbs, or you can't eat this type of carbs, or you're going to intermittent fast, and people aren't sure what that means. And you go on YouTube and there's 300,000 videos on intermittent fasting, and people aren't sure what to do. So they just do nothing.
My experience, which I've had this discussion with you, I intermittent fast. Everybody said intermittent fasting. I intermittent fasted religiously, I think for 4 or 5 weeks. And I saw no change whatsoever. None.
Yeah. Sometimes people's blood sugar is so out of sync that it just takes a while for the body to learn to be able to adjust. And of course, as we age, the fasting time, instead of, ideally you're trying to get to 13 or 14 hours, essentially most people are skipping after dinner. They're not eating anything until lunch the next day. But, say you're my age, 57, fasting 12 or 13 hours seems to be about right for someone that's a little bit older. The same way with people with blood sugar issues. Maybe they aren't fasting 12 hours, but you're just trying to get them to go, overnight or something. But, the key is to just start somewhere, a little bit at a time, and change that behavior. And in 5 or 6 weeks, they can change their life. I mean, if I could put people in jail, man, like have something, look, I see you laughing, but I mean, if I could sign them up, I'm not going to kill them. I'm not going to beat them. They're not going to be whatever, but just a jail. And they are just eating what I say to eat. And, you get them to walk somehow. Maybe you put like a lion in there that can't really get them, but it would come close. However you want to go about it.
And probably after 30 days, they would thank you because they feel 10 times better.
I could change their life, man.
Yeah.
Just think about it. If we could get people just to do something,
right,
something for just 4 weeks, they could change their whole life.
Correct.
Their whole life.
Yeah.
But it's hard to do.
It is. So the guest, since everybody knows us for Bigfoot things, but you being a doctor, you specialize in chiropractor, in longevity, life, living a long life is what you specialize in.
Yes.
And you preach and you do it. So we have, for the new year, we got a guest on with us, Danielle Miranda. We're bringing her on, and she is a guru on this thing that we are talking about. So Danielle, do you want to tell us why you are qualified to talk about this? I know why you are, but they don't.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. It's a pleasure to be on the show. I really am passionate about health and wellness. And for me, I feel like I'm qualified because I continue to study and learn. I love helping people, and it's a part of my lifestyle. I practice what I preach. So what you see is what you get. I'm not somebody who just reads something and doesn't do it, or, says they do it and don't actually do it. I really do. Anything I talk about, I've tried at least once. So I'm a big believer in making sure to be the example of things that you're talking about.
And your history is not just, hey, I decided to make a change one day. It was, I'm going to go to a major college athletic program, right?
Yes.
I'm going to be on their track team, right? Which are
track and volleyball. Yes.
Track and volleyball, which is a pretty athletic two sports. And you can tell us the school you went to, and then you went and got multiple degrees on this very subject. So let's not sell yourself short.
Thank you. It's interesting. What actually got me started on my health journey was growing up. I grew up pretty poor, and my family on my mom's side lives in Ohio, and we have a lot of doctors and nurses in our family. And what was really striking me at a young age was how they were getting sick, and I didn't understand. I'm like, how are you getting sick and passing away at such a young age, yet you're a doctor or a nurse and you're telling people what to do every day. So that's when my curiosity really started with health and wellness, and really wanting to find out why people were dying at such a young age, what was going on with my family members, and wanting to help them. And that's what really got me going in this industry.
So, Brad, did you get any of the pictures? I mean, I saw when I was preparing for the show, I think that, Daniel, you did some bodybuilding shows. Is that well?
Yes, I did. After collegiate athletics, I decided to.
You can say where you went to school at, because.
Well, I went to Howard University, played D1 volleyball there, and then I transferred to Ohio State, and I played volleyball there and graduated with my BS in human nutrition.
Wow.
So you are well qualified you're overqualified for this show, actually.
Yes. And I continue my education later on down the line, but yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And so the cellular health, like, is that specializing in like DNA, you know, how the cells function?
Yes.
Go ahead.
So what I got my second degree in is DNA, cellular health, and disease prevention. So basically what I can do is I can teach people how to regenerate their cells, because a lot of people don't know that as we do things that aren't beneficial to our cells start to die off. They don't function as efficiently as they should. But with the right practices, eating the right foods, using the right products, you can regenerate the cells. And so I teach clients how to do that, how to prevent diseases, and just how to have longevity in their lives.
So, you know, I guess we just need to jump right into it, because this is what people want to know. It's like, how it is the new year.
Yeah.
And there are, everybody's going to say, I'm going to get a New Year's resolution, all that stuff.
New beginnings.
It doesn't mean anything, because they don't really do it anyway. But hopefully there's a couple people that listen to this podcast and they're going to say, you know what, I really want to make a change. Mm-hmm. Except a lot of people just aren't educated.
Yes.
And
it's complicated.
It is complicated because, Russ, you're right. There's so much stuff on the internet. Everybody gets a 10-second clip or a 5-second clip of just do these 3 things and you're going to look like me. Mm-hmm. And literally this is a guy that cut, whatever, for 3 weeks to do a 10-minute video so he looks amazing. And honestly, most people don't look like that every day. I don't. I mean, Russ and Danielle, you do, but that's, I'm not you guys. So,
well, how do you start, Danielle? What's the first thing you would have people do?
The first thing that I would have people do is to really sit down and ask why. They need to know why they're doing what they're doing. Instead of just going out and doing it, people need to understand, why are you deciding that now is the time to lose weight? Now is the time to eat healthy. Now is the time to make this lifestyle change, because everything starts with the mindset. So that's the first thing I would ask people to do, is to write it down, speak it out, just really sit with yourself and ask yourself, why do you want to do this? I would then have people go into starting off small, tangible goals. When you make huge goals for yourself, most of the time with people, especially if they're not used to even incorporating healthy foods or movement in their lifestyle, they tend to fall off track and they go back to their lifestyle and eating habits even worse than they were when they started on their journey. So it's really beneficial for them to have small, tangible goals.
Let me ask you a question, Danielle. I know you said why they're doing it. If someone comes to you and tells you that, their husband thinks that they're fat, or, they're doing it for someone else, will they be as effective as if they were doing it for themselves? I mean, is this something we really need to do for ourselves, or can we do it, for someone else?
That really depends on the individual. I think there's some people that absolutely can do it for other people, but now we're starting to talk about self-love. If someone is saying that, hey, you need to do this because I think you're fat, for example, that's probably not, you really it's tough, because if that's your husband, for example, well, then maybe that's something that they need to sit down and talk about. And maybe she or he needs to express that there's a better way to maybe tell them that they need to go on this healthy journey than to be so direct, because a lot of people do not take direct criticism very well. So I think in this instance, we should be addressing the person who's making the comment and teaching them how to be more loving, because anybody who's overweight, anybody who has health issues, it took something or, time to get to that place. So in order for people to feel motivated to stick on this journey that they're on, not only do they need to have the right mindset, but they need to have the right support system around them. And that comes with encouragement, positive affirmations, loving words, kindness. That helps. So I think it's a little bit of both. I think the person needs to have the right mindset to do it, but I also think that if they have the right motivation from other people, I think that would help them stick to their goals as well.
I always find it so interesting when you said that. It made me think about couples sabotaging themselves. Like, sometimes, we'll just say maybe the husband likes, maybe he's a little insecure, and so he likes his other half to be a little larger, so maybe she doesn't attract as much attention. And one person's trying to lose weight and they're doing pretty good, and then the other person starts making them biscuits and gravy for breakfast each day. And I saw this lady not long ago, and I've seen her for decades, and she's probably 67, 68 now, and has always been very beautiful, and she has a beautiful family and a wonderful marriage and all this stuff. And I hadn't seen her in several months, and I saw her, and she had gotten really heavy. I mean, she had a lot of weight to lose. And I was like, I won't say her name here, but I'm like, what's the deal? I mean, I'm so curious. Like, you have this husband that's so crazy about you, and this great relationship, and these wonderful kids. They're all healthy and wonderful grandkids. And you would think that you would want to be as healthy as you could to live as long as you could because of this blessing you have. But it seems like many times those people that are in those relationships get comfortable where they are, and it's almost like they're killing each other off. Mm-hmm. So I think there's a lot to be said about what you said of having, support, in your background or from the people that are in your life.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I think it's helpful to do things as a team too. I think that's important. As we get older, we have to pay more attention to what we do consume, movement, mindset, being able to have a loving relationship. There's so many factors as you evolve in a marriage to take into account, that it really is important to make sure that you sit down and revisit, whether it's once a month or every quarter, about your goals. I think that's important for married couples to do that, or even couples in general. If you want a future together and you're working towards, specific goals, I think it's very beneficial to sit down every so often and really discuss that with each other, so you can keep each other accountable and stay on track.
All right. Okay. So let's say we made a decision, we want to make a life change or whatever that is. I mean, like you said, it's got to be small steps, because most people, they take a big chunk. How do you eat the elephant? One bite at a time. Mm-hmm. So they're trying to eat a whole leg, and they just really need to take a little bite. Mm-hmm. So you, as a nutritionist, what's that first thing that they're going to go get up tomorrow morning, or they're going to listen to this and they're going to get up the next day and they're going to go to their cabinet and they're going to start either removing something off their shopping list or out of their cabinet, or something they have in there that they really need to get rid of? What is
that? Great question. Well, I would start off with sugar and the allergens. So anything that has soy in it. Soy tends to mess with the hormonal levels of males and females. Corn, a lot of corn is GMO, heavily sprayed. Dairy, a lot of people cannot process dairy correctly. Wheat, there's a lot of digestive issues associated with wheat. And I would think that'd be a good start. And alcohol. Alcohol would be another one that I would really look to take out or decrease heavily.
So how much are people, I'm not really a drinker personally, but, how much would be okay? Can someone have a glass of wine a day, or is a glass of wine, too much? I remember when I was doing some of my the anti-aging doctor from California, it used to be we could have some wine or whatever. And he said, hey, if you're going to have it, but just don't call it healthy. We've kind of all moved past the healthy thing now. So is that where you are, or what do you think?
Yes. So what I learned in my quest for my second degree is that wine has what's called alkyls. Alkyls is a chemical component in wine that does not process properly in our bodies. And so you have to be very careful consuming high amounts of fermented alcohol when it comes to making sure not to have too many alkyls in your body. So I personally would not recommend having a glass a day. I would recommend maybe having a glass once a week if you're going to do it. I personally believe that based on the studies that I've learned, a lot of the research with wine is not very accurate because they don't really tell people the chemical compounds of wine in general and what that does to the cells and our DNA as we consume it. So I would recommend that they decrease the quantity of wine.
So the first thing you mentioned was sugar.
Mm-hmm.
So chocolate,
Yes.
Reese's cups,
Yes.
It's hit everywhere, man.
Yes,
cereal,
it's in everything. Yes.
So I think, oh, great. I'm not going to drink sugar or eat sugar, drink sugar. I'm going to get a Diet Coke instead.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't that affect the, kind of your pancreatic, that process kind of the same, even though it says 0 calories, it's not sugar, but it kind of, the way your body processes it kind of the same way? Is that kind of the...
Yes, great question. So what a lot of people don't understand is a lot of times those are marketing schemes. When they say diet, 0 calories, there's still sugar in items like that. And a lot of the sugar is, your dextrose, your maltose, your sucrose. Those are still sugar derivatives. So you want to make sure that you're really not consuming things like sodas, juices. Make your own spritzer if you want. You can take, for example, sparkling water and maybe add some fresh fruit juice and you have a homemade soda. I mean, people don't understand, like that's something that would be way better than consuming a Pepsi or a Coke any day.
So, but the problem is, which I run into this, and I'm going to just admit, it's tough for me to go get a soda, add, juice to it.
Mm-hmm.
I stop at a gas station. I want something to drink.
Okay.
So my go-to for a long time was just unsweet tea, unsweet tea, the leaf, whatever it is, no lemon, no nothing, unsweet tea. And I know, a guy that literally drinks 20 of them a day.
I do.
I've never seen him with not a sweet tea at his desk, at least 3 of them.
I thought you were saying you were drinking unsweet.
I do drink unsweet.
Okay. You were talking about someone else that was just drinking sweet.
No. The person we have in common, he drinks unsweet tea religiously.
Unsweet. Okay.
And literally, so I'm going to throw it out there. McDonald's unsweet teas are they're fresh brewed. They're so good. Unsweet, no sugar. I've literally seen him take a drink and want to throw the iced tea back at the lady at the window because it had sugar in it. So that's how religious he is about his unsweet tea. But, so what can people drink? They can drink water, obviously. Mm-hmm. I don't even like water out of a bottle. I don't like water out of a tap if I'm in the city. I like to drink my water out of my tap out in the country with my well. Is it true that fluoride, that fluoride's in there? They say it's helping your teeth, but it's affecting your pituitary gland. Mm-hmm. So harden the pineal gland. So
it depends on the type of fluoride.
Okay.
So if it's stannous fluoride, then yes, that's a good quality fluoride. But a lot of the fluorides, they're not good. So you really have to know what you're getting. But stannous fluoride is the best type of fluoride to have. So yes.
I could see Russ laughing at me already.
It seems like I always tell patients, like, I feel like I'm negotiating with them when I start in these conversations, because they're wanting like something,
Yes.
and they're trying to get something. And so Brad wants his tea.
No, I mean, unsweet
which
tea
is cool.
I that's fine. I don't drink coffee.
Yeah.
I don't like coffee. I never have. Unsweet tea, what other options do I have, or does someone have besides just an unsweet tea and a water? Because that sounds like that's all there's out there.
No, there's other options.
Okay.
You can do like, depending on the fruit, you can do like a fruit juice. I'm against sodas in general. I would not recommend sodas.
I agree with you.
If you really want to change your habits, you're gonna have to make sacrifices, and these are the constructs that people struggle with. They want to be able to change their habits, but they also want to be able to still do the same things that they're doing, and it just doesn't work like that.
Right.
So you're gonna have to make some sacrifices. So soda, for me, I don't recommend consuming at all.
No diet, no 0 calorie, none. Okay.
No, I do not recommend consuming
So
soda.
what do you drink?
I'm boring. So I love my water, and I love my sparkling water. Every now and then I'll spice it up a bit, and I'll have like a chai tea. But yeah, if I want to go fancy, I make it myself. So I'll take like sparkling water, I'll take some pineapple, blend it, and maybe add it together, or I'll juice some ginger and add it to my sparkling water and have a ginger drink. I'm so ingrained on my habits that for me, it's nothing for me to do something like that, just because I know the benefits, and I know that I eat and drink to live. I don't live to drink and eat. So it's become ingrained in my mind to live this way. But I will admit, it took time to get here. I wasn't like this all the time. I had to really start slow. And for instance, if I'm drinking one Pepsi every day, maybe I was drinking a Pepsi every other day. Or if I was having wine 3 times a day, I went wine 1 time a day. So that's what I'm saying is, you don't necessarily have to go cold turkey, because that may not work for you. But if you're doing something multiple times a day, cut some of those times out, and maybe only do it once a day or once every other day. And then when you're ready to take a step further, then take that step further. But I would not recommend starting the new year off with going cold turkey on anything, unless it's life-threatening and you absolutely, based on the recommendation of your practitioner or doctor, absolutely need to get off of it. I would say wean off of it slowly.
Okay.
Yeah, especially with caffeine. Like, yes. I have some patients, they were drinking a 12-pack of Mountain Dew a day, literally, or 2 or 3 2 liters of Coke, and I would say, well, how many, I just divided out over a period of like 8 weeks and tell them how much they could do a day, cutting them down. It's bad enough without dying. You don't want to like suffer more than you're going to have to suffer.
Exactly. And the thing about it is too, is you want this to be a fun change. And if you're taking everything out from people, they start to feel like they're being imprisoned. They start to feel like it's not fun anymore. I don't want to do it. They get scared, they get cold feet, they back off. And if you really want people to stick to this, you got to work with them too. So I get it. I mean, it's all about give and take. And, and communication's key too.
It's so hard because some people are in relationships, they're miserable. They don't like their job. Maybe they're having some other problems or some health issues or whatever it is. And the one thing they can enjoy is maybe a glass of wine in the evening, or maybe, whatever that food is that they like or whatever. And that's their one joy. And they know they need to change, but here comes Danielle and she's saying, I know that your life's not great, but we had to make some changes.
Yeah. I would argue too that I wouldn't say that the wine, right? If you have somebody that's drinking wine a day and they need that wine, I wouldn't say that would be the only thing that was affecting them. So maybe you can really sit down with them, because I'm all about having consultations and really figuring people out so I can help them as best as I can. maybe there's other areas that you can help them with and still allow them to be able to have their wine so they can have some comfort during this transformation process. And then maybe that's something we address later on down the line. But there's probably other things that can be addressed.
I know that you mentioned sugar first thing, and we didn't really get into that. So, what is it that you're concerned with, or what is it that you're trying to get rid of most obviously? I know you told me that it was really hidden in a lot of foods and drinks. Is it something where you're telling people, well, I don't want you to have more than 50 carbs a day, or you're not really thinking about the number of carbs so much as just trying to get rid of sugar?
So the first thing I would do is I would want people to do a meal log. I need to see exactly how they're eating every day. And I tell people, do it for at least 3 days and don't cheat on anything. If you want if you want a dozen Dunkin' Donuts, write it down. I need to see habits, because that allows me to better assess and properly help people based on what they're doing. So I can't just tell somebody, oh, just don't do this, don't do that, don't do this. You get a more accurate answer when you really see how they're eating on a day-to-day basis. And then based on that, I would then say, okay, I see that you tend to eat cupcakes, for lunch every day at noon. Let's start off with taking the cupcakes out and replacing it with something that is still sweet, but more of a natural sweet. So you're getting your sweet fix.
That's what we need to get into, because, and I'm going to throw this out there. There's apps out there on every store, iPhone, Android, whatever it is. They're free. Most of them are. Download the app. It's very easy to track your breakfast, lunch, dinner. A lot of times you can scan the food's already in there. Scan the barcode. It's got all the information in there. It's got the serving size. It's all that stuff, so that you can keep track of it. It's not that hard. You don't need to carry a book with you. You got your phone. And it's odd to me that I'll go to the gym and I'll see people carrying around a notebook and a pencil, and they're doing their workouts. I'm like, you do understand there are apps that do exactly this, and it records everything and charts everything, and you can go back and look at history and how many days you've gone to the gym and your PRs and your 1R, your single, all that stuff.
Well, some of them may be old school.
Right. Some of them may be old school, but the internet, not having the internet was old school, and look where we are now. So
right.
Let's step into the 21st century. You're trying to make a change here. Get an app on your phone. It's not that hard.
There's this diet that's pretty popular right now, the carnivore diet, started by this orthopedic surgeon. I see you rolling your eyes there. And I think his name's Sean Baker, if I remember right. And I follow him on Instagram because, I'm curious about it. There's not a lot of studies now. I know he's raising money to do some, but that anti-aging doctor I was telling you about out of California, he had told me that he said, if you have a problem patient, he said, it seems like it's against everything that we believe, but if you can't get somebody well doing anything, you've tried everything else, it might be worth doing a trial for a few weeks just to do it or whatever. But one of the things I did like that Sean had said to some of his, I don't know if his patients or his clients or whatever, but he had told them it wasn't so much about eating less so much as eat as much as you want of the good stuff. So, if you are wanting to eat vegetables or whatever it is, like eat till you're full. If it's something that you want, a high quality something, whatever it happens to be that you like, eat as much as you want, eat a ton of it or whatever. But, just trying to fill that space in where you're not eating as much. I'll ask you more about the carnivore thing here. Is there any other diets that you're going to make roll your eyes about? Like if we say the Atkins diet or low carb, I'm looking for your looks here.
Yeah, I think all of them have their pros and cons. I think all of them, you just got to be careful getting caught up in the fad, because there's scientific, research in a lot of these things that debunk a lot of what people believe. Like for instance, the carnivore diet. There's a way to cook your meat where you could actually take out hormones. Like if you're not eating grass fed, you could actually take out hormones, the nitrates and the nitrites, and you can actually cook those out to where you're not consuming those. But people don't talk about stuff like that. So, that's where I come into play with scientific
we're talking
eating.
about it.
How do you do that?
Do I have to cook it so well that it's tough, or
it's seared or something?
You have to slow cook it. So slow cooking it, especially like in a crock pot for a long period of time, takes out those hormones, the nitrates and the nitrites, so that you're not consuming them. And instead of grilling it, which grilling a lot of times has carcinogens from the char, well, that's cancer causing, so you don't want to eat that. Searing stuff on a stove or in an oven, you're getting a lot of cancer causing agents by baking or frying. So these are things that you can easily prevent by cooking your food right. So the carnivore diet can work, in my opinion, if it's done properly.
You're absolutely no fun whatsoever. None. Zero.
So
I know. I mean, I'm not saying don't ever grill again or don't ever bake again. I'm just saying that if you really want to start eating for health.
Okay. So the carcinogen, if you sear a steak, is coming from the pan, I would assume.
The pan? Are you talking about on the stove? You're on? Yes.
What about a cast iron? What about a glass? What about
glass is fine.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Cast iron's okay.
Because I use cast iron for all my steaks. So I don't like using anything else besides cast iron. So
I don't know if I told you this, Brad, but there was a story, I think this was about 20 years ago. McDonald's was having trouble, selling their products or whatever. So one of the things that they did was they toasted their buns for an additional so many seconds. And by doing that, it glycated them. It made the sugar in the buns a little more readily available so that when people ate them, they would get that sugar fix a little quicker. And sometimes when we're doing that searing stuff and other things like that, or putting certain toppings on it, we're glycating things. But I don't want to make it so that, we get where we're saying people can't do anything, because they're going to get done here today and they're going to say, she said, less sugar, cut this down, slow bites, but don't grill or whatever, which is not what you're saying at all.
No. I mean, really, and I just thought about this, Dr. Jones, as you were talking. We're talking about scientific eating, and this is more advanced. Yes. If I'm working with somebody who's brand new to this lifestyle, I would not be doing this. I would be starting very beginner for them. So I don't want people to freak out. Right. So there's levels to all of this.
So you mentioned 5 things. Sugar. So we're trying to get rid of Cocoa Puffs and cookie Oreos and Chips Ahoy and brownies and pop.
Yes.
So there you go. So
the obvious sugars.
The obvious sugars.
The obvious ones, yes.
And there's other sugars out there. They're hidden in all our food, and you got to look at that label or get an app. I think there's an app out there. It's called do you know what it's called? The one with the little carrot thing.
Little carrot app.
Yeah, it's called Yuka, Yuka. Yuka, you can literally scan the food and it will give you a rating from 100 to 0.
That's fantastic.
You scan a bag of Doritos, they're about a 10. They're bad. And it gives you all the stuff, the coloring, what it causes, and this and that. You scan something else that I'm very surprised, and all of a sudden it was like a 90. It was very, very healthy, and there wasn't a lot of preservatives in it. It was good for you. I'm like, oh, cool. I like those. I got those. So there you go. So the second thing you said was allergens, which you said soy. Mm-hmm. I love soy sauce. Mm-hmm. Not in everything, but when I have some sushi or something like that, which is not all the time. So maybe I'm balancing out by eating sushi. I'm getting some soy, but so when you say soy, what are we looking for in the cupboard that's got soy in it that we shouldn't be eating?
It will clearly say soy. So whether it's soybean oil in the ingredients, it'll say soy, edamame soy. So typically with the labels, it'll clearly say contains soy.
Okay.
Or you'll see it in the ingredients. So it's very clear.
Now, is that causing, when you say an allergen, is that causing our, body to not process them right? I know that we talked at one time that soy affects men in a certain way.
Yes. Yes. So soy has a chemical in it called genistein. And what that does is it messes with our hormonal levels in males and females. So for males, it will lower their testosterone levels or raise their estrogen levels. Females, it could do the same thing. So you really want to be careful with eating a lot of soy because it can really mess with your, not just your steroid hormones, like your aldosterone, testosterone, estrogen, but it can also mess with other things as well internally. So, and mess with your cellular health too. So I would recommend eating soy as less as possible or completely getting rid of it.
Okay.
And there's other things you can have in replacement of soy sauce. There's something called coconut aminos. Coconut aminos taste like soy sauce. You can't even really tell the difference.
Coconut amino?
Mm-hmm. So that would be like a better alternative to soy sauce.
Okay. So much of what you're saying is about finding, a more reasonable alternative.
Yes. I'll be honest, there's alternatives to everything. People just have to be open to wanting to try the alternative, at least wanting to try it. But there's always alternatives to everything.
So what about the alternatives? Like, we're talking about soy, but of course we really know the big thing is bread and potatoes. What do we do about those? I mean, that's dairy, is a big sugar as well.
And that's, I was going to have that question, I work, let's say I work in the field and I get my lunch box. So I'm a blue collar guy. My wife fixed me a lunch every day and I get a sandwich in there and it's got ham and cheese and stuff on it, which, I don't even eat cheese anymore that's pre-sliced because of the plastic in it, the microplastics in it. So
phytoestrogens. Phytoestrogens.
So I don't know, whatever. So I get rid of that stuff, but it's on a piece of bread so I can eat it. What's my alternative to that?
Well, there's actually better breads than others. So I would recommend if someone's eating, let's say wheat bread, I would maybe recommend them doing like sourdough or French bread because those are better alternatives.
Really?
Especially if it's homemade. Mm-hmm. French bread has purines in it, which is actually good for us if eaten in a decent, in decreased amounts. So you don't want to overdo anything, right? Overdoing anything can be a bad thing. But you can also do wraps. So there's wraps, there's certain types of crackers. There's alternatives. But I would say whole wheat bread. For me, I don't agree with whole wheat bread. Grains, we can't process grains properly. A lot of times when we eat grains, we release them the same way we put them in our body. So I would recommend not doing grains if possible, because a lot of times we can't process them properly.
Okay.
So when you say that,
corn, for example, is one of them.
Not to jump around about the grains, but immediately I thought of, what do people do for breakfast? They're used to having cereal in their morning, and of course that's highly processed, and of course all the processed foods. We were talking about the testosterone in men, which has really decreased a lot over the last several decades. And of course, those phytoestrogens are driving men's testosterone down, even messing women's hormones up. So what would you have people eat for a reasonable breakfast?
It depends. Depending on like if they're diabetic or whatnot. I mean, it would really depend on their current health status, but there's alternatives. You can do, a bowl of fruit. You can do your protein, your animal protein with a nice starch. And a vegetable if you want. You could do a hot cereal like farina. Now, farina does have wheat in it, but the great thing about farina is that it has the right iron that we need, which is ferric iron. So, I mean, you're getting a good quality.
Is that a brand name or what is that?
It is. It's a hot cereal it's a white box and it's got like a little boy on the box and it's called farina.
Okay. So is it F-U-R-E-N-A? Is that how it's spelled? Or
it's F-A-R-I-N-A.
Okay.
And so that has wheat in it, but it's not a high amount. And that's something that if you make it more like of a porridge, you're not taking in as much wheat or starch. So that would be okay to have. You could do a healthy pancake if you want. I mean, you just have to get creative, but there are alternatives to breakfast items.
Okay. And so can they have something like a granola or or you're not really, I know I see at Kroger's, they have granolas that are keto friendly, or say they are grain free granolas or something like that. Is something like that okay?
Yeah,
And if it is, what would you use for your, you're using coconut milk, or you're using almond milk, or what is it that you would put in that?
Depending on the brand, depending on the ingredients and the sugar content, yeah, they could do a granola. And I would not do dairy milk. I would do a milk alternative. For me, I choose either an oat milk, a clean oat milk, or a clean rice milk. So I wouldn't do the nut milks.
Okay, and you're talking about something like an unsweetened oat milk or rice milk.
Yes.
Because I know they do come like sweetened sometimes.
Yes.
Which would be really good.
Malk has an excellent oat milk. It's a little bit more expensive, but all it is, it's filtered oats. It's like filtered oats, filtered water, and salt. That's all that's in it. And it's
is that those oats, are they not sprayed with the Roundup or whatever? Are they not, GMO type things?
So with oats, the reason why I would not recommend oats to clients is because they cause tumors. Oatmeal causes tumors in the body. So I wouldn't recommend oatmeal scientifically if you're really trying to eat scientifically. But if you're like, I need my oatmeal, I'm not ready to go that far into it yet, I would do like a gluten-free oat.
But we don't have to worry about that with the oat milk. Like if it's genetically modified or whatever, is that right?
As long as the oats are clean, and
meaning it's organic.
Yes, so gluten-free, organic. As long as they're from a cleaner source, then no.
Okay.
Because you're not getting as much of that when you're actually filtering the oat milk and just getting the liquid from it. So that's the quality is better by filtering it, depending on the type of oat that you have. So if the oat is coming from a good source, then yeah, it's okay.
Okay.
Because my thing is, I drink milk constantly. I mean, I'm sorry, 2%. It's just I will drink water, or because I don't like caffeine at night.
You like sugar. That's what you're getting. Your milk is sugar.
I love milk. So
everybody loves sugar. It's just the form they get it in. Some people like bread.
So, but everybody thinks, well, milk, it's milk. It's
sugar, lactose.
Yeah. Well, if you think about it too, like everything processes down into sugar anyways. So, I mean, we're technically consuming sugar no matter what.
Right.
Yeah.
Based on scientifically how it breaks down. Bob's Red Mill is a good brand for oatmeal. They have a gluten-free oat that is excellent.
You said Bob's
Red Mill. Mm-hmm.
I know with one of the patients, I always try to talk to them too. Like everybody sees gluten now and they think, oh, gluten is good. And I always tell them, it's good in terms of being clean, but remember, you can eat gluten-free everything, but then you can be getting a lot of sugar because, sugar is gluten-free.
There's a lot of hidden ingredients in gluten-free items. You have to really be careful getting too wrapped up with that word.
Okay. So now we know what you're going to eat for breakfast, but I want to know what the other meals look like that are reasonable that Brad and I would eat.
Right.
And a snack or two, because we're larger than you.
Russ literally has to eat every 2 to 3 hours when I'm with him.
I never eat very much. I just kind of graze. I'm always picking. Constantly. Yeah.
So you guys are asking me what to eat?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, like, what does it look like for you? I mean,
okay. So we're on the run. Let's say I didn't pack my lunch today. I need to grab a bite to eat.
Okay.
So I have Wendy's, McDonald's, Subway, Chipotle, all the major brands. Where am I going to go? What am I going to get that I can live with and not feel awful, and it's not going to kill me? Okay. Or is there nothing out there?
Well, you could do something at all of them. So you tell me, Brad, where would you like to eat today out of those spots, and we can go from there.
I like Chipotle.
Okay. So now the next question is, if we decide to go with Chipotle,
I will tell you what I get and see how bad it is.
Okay, that's fair.
So I go in and I get a salad.
Okay, what's in the salad?
I don't get the rice. I just get salad with chicken, cheese. There's my dairy, of course, my sour cream, of course, and I get the corn
It's
on
all
top of
coming
it.
out.
Right, and I get the corn on top of it. So, and
Okay, so
that's it, and maybe some hot sauce on it, to spice it up, or the vinaigrette, which is awful for you. That's like straight sugar and oil, so it's completely bad, and I know that.
okay.
So
I would suggest the lettuce is fine. The chicken is fine. I would suggest doing either sour cream or cheese. If
not
you're
both.
Not both. If you're really
Okay.
trying to watch your dairy, pick
Okay.
one or the other.
Okay.
I would take the corn out completely.
Really?
Just because we know corn doesn't break down in the body. You eat corn, it comes out. Again, we can't break that down. And most of the corn crops in this country are sprayed with GMOs. So
Okay.
they're not GMO free.
Okay.
So I would take the corn out completely. And then everything else seems okay. I mean, honestly, it wasn't that bad, to be honest.
Are you going to have the rice and beans in yours, Danielle?
No.
Okay.
I would not eat the rice and beans in mine. I would do the lettuce. I would do a protein, probably chicken. I would do, I can't remember what they have. I haven't been to Chipotle in a long time. I wouldn't do the dairy. I would do a green salsa, probably.
Like a verde or something.
Over a red. I'm trying to think. What else do they have? I would not do the corn. If they had something like fresh cilantro, I'd do that. And that would be, and guacamole, I may do a little bit of guacamole for like a healthier fat. But that's it. That's what I would do.
Okay, now Brad wants to go McDonald's. And there's McDonald's everywhere, so we need to cover some of these.
Okay, so I believe
you said there's something in everywhere.
Okay. I believe McDonald's has a decently clean section for them, like salads. I know they have sliced apples because I've gotten sliced apples from McDonald's in the past. They have fruit. So let's say you want to do a burger, for instance. I would probably do maybe a chicken sandwich.
Okay.
And I would ask them if they brush butter in the bun. Let's say you're like, I have to have the bread. I would recommend asking for them not to brush the butter inside the bun, and maybe only doing like a top or a bottom of the bun. So maybe cutting the meat in half with a knife and using a half of the bread if you want, or making sure to cut it in half and only eat half the sandwich and then save the other half for later. Okay. I would get no mayonnaise on the sandwich because that's dairy. I'd get no cheese on the sandwich. So I'd have the chicken, the lettuce, the tomato, maybe like a mustard or something, that's a cleaner sauce. Mustard typically is 0 calories. So you're getting no calories at all in the mustard.
Where ketchup's like a lot of sugar, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's a nightshade. A lot of people don't process nightshades very well. So nightshades typically cause inflammation in the body. So if you struggle with swelling or inflammation, your first step would probably be to take nightshades out of your diet.
And as a side note, patients that have arthritis, that's the very first thing we do when they have a flare-up or exacerbation is cut nightshades out. The most common ones are tomatoes and potatoes. Mm-hmm. And so I'll tell them, when you're bad, don't be eating any of that stuff and really cut back your sugars until your pain goes down, then kind of you can ease back into your life or whatever.
Yes.
So what's wrong? I want to go, sometimes when I go to McDonald's, I'll get 4 quarter-pound burgers, no bread. They hand me a plate that has 4 burgers. They don't put any seed oils or anything. They just fry it in its own lovely
fat,
fat.
Do you really do that?
If I was going to be on the road and I didn't have any place to go, I would go to Wendy's and get a double, or I'd go to McDonald's and get a couple burgers, and I would just tell them I would just want the burgers, and I would just eat it like that.
Yeah, you could do that. You could do that, or you could even go as far as to get a salad, because I know McDonald's has a side salad, and put the burger on the salad and do it like that too.
Yeah, it's hard, if you're traveling and you're like, so it's, I know a lot of places like, what's that burger place that's around here? I don't know, but about any of them now they'll put the burger in a lettuce wrap, and hand you that wrap or whatever.
Yep. So you could do that. you could do, if you're going to do a meal, maybe opt, for salad instead of the fries. For me, I would recommend probably doing the chicken more, just because I don't know the source of the beef. Mm-hmm. And I'm big on knowing the source of the meat. So making sure that it is coming from a decent source. And when it's a place like McDonald's, I just wouldn't know for sure if the beef was good quality. So I probably would not do a burger, but I would consider doing like a grilled chicken sandwich or something.
Okay, maybe I can get a couple chicken pieces or something.
Mm-hmm.
So now we've had some lunch, we've had some dinner, because dinner and lunch are kind of the same thing. And in fact, I only try to eat 2 meals a day anyway.
Actually, that's good to do that. Mm-hmm.
I try,
So you're skipping breakfast, Danielle? Is that what you're doing when you say eating 2 meals, or you just?
Yes. So I typically do not eat breakfast.
So you're intermittent fasting as well.
Yes.
You're just maybe not necessarily calling it that.
Yes. So I don't call it intermittent fasting, but technically it is a form of intermittent fasting. I usually break my fast around in between 11 and 12. Mm-hmm. And I'll have my first meal, which, typically is like a piece of salmon, for example, with broccoli, and maybe I'll do like a nice grain-free pasta. And I'll have that, and then I'll have my snack. Sometimes if I want to do something lighter, I'll do like my celery juice, or I'll do a bowl of fruit, but see, I'm way more advanced.
So, sure. Celery juice.
So for me,
they sell it at Kroger's, bro.
Does not sound good.
It's at Kroger's.
Yeah, I don't do the celery juice.
Really?
As a
you don't like anything green, man. When I met Brad, he didn't eat a vegetable, not one ever. Yeah. He didn't eat any vegetables.
Sounds like
he would call me and tell me when he ate one.
Right. I would call him and say, "Hey, I ate a vegetable." Yeah. So I'm just going to throw this out there. My mom and dad. My mom lost weight. My dad lost a bunch of weight. I don't know how much he lost, maybe 50, 60 pounds. And literally it was broccoli and salmon. They ate a lot of it. Mm-hmm. And he just said, we don't eat sugar. I eat broccoli and salmon. My dad's 79 years old. And he says, if I can do it, anybody can do it. It's not that hard.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's really not. And your parents were probably mentally just ready to make that change, which helps tremendously.
Oh, and it's awful because my mom's a food pusher, growing up. She's from the South. So we had she home cooked every meal, and it was just good food. And she's like, hey, you're not eating enough. You need to eat more. And honestly, growing up on a farm, I was, I weighed 145 pounds until I was like 18 years old. So I could eat anything I wanted, It's just all of a sudden you get to that point as you get older, you're not as active, and then things start happening and metabolism slows down. And now all of a sudden you're 50 and you're like, shoot, I got to do something.
Snack now. What are you going to snack on?
Right.
It depends on the time.
Snacks.
Yeah.
Right,
I think that depends on the time of day.
So it's 7:00 at night.
Your blood sugar's dropped a little bit, hadn't it, Brad? Because you haven't had your glass of milky milk yet.
I have my milk and my Oreos. So I've taken the Oreos, I threw them away. So I'm at least I'm eating them. So I have my glass of milk. So now I don't want to do that. But I need something because, sugar, I think you told me this, Danielle. Sugar and cocaine are very similar chemically.
Yes. They're one compound component away. Sugar literally, there's one compound component that's different between sugar and cocaine. That's why people are so addicted to it.
Right.
Because it's like a drug.
So it gets to be 6:30, 7:00 at night. I'm done doing my work. It's a couple hours after dinner. And I'm like, man, I need something because I need something. I don't want to drink water. I can't drink unsweet tea because I don't want the caffeine, but I need something.
Okay,
what is that?
Are we talking liquid? Are you thinking of a liquid? Or are you thinking of an actual food?
I'm thinking both. I'm thinking a snack.
Okay.
Because I want to eat a snack that when I eat it, Russ isn't going to go, God, well, he just looks at me and shakes his head.
I would do maybe some more protein, maybe not the same protein, but I would probably fix up some more protein and veggies and a starch. Or I'd do maybe you could do a protein pancake, just don't have the syrup and just eat the pancake. I mean, you can get creative with it. It doesn't have to just be milk.
Right.
How about some nuts?
You could. I would not do mixed nuts. Maybe just stick to one type of nut and do like a small bowl of that.
What
So what do you
type
like
of nut?
for your nut?
What type? Almonds,
Pecans. I mean, any of them. Pecans, almonds, walnuts,
cashews.
I
But
love
you're just not going
cashews.
to mix. You're not going to mix them.
No, I wouldn't mix them.
You're in the
based on-
camp of you don't mix your different proteins. You want one protein, one type of protein per meal. Like you wouldn't have the seafood trio. You would just have a seafood piece.
Yes,
Now-
I'm very big on food combining. That's very important for digestive health.
So if you're probably not drinking liquids with your meals, then is that right?
Yeah. That's more advanced. I don't want.
Yeah,
people
that's
to-
we don't
Wait a second.
we don't want to go there, Brad, because that's
Yeah.
then you're getting in that whole thing where people aren't. They're like, this is all too complicated.
Yeah,
Right.
we want to keep it very simple.
Yeah.
That's and
It can go so that it's ridiculous and crazy. Some of the things that people are doing, but it's not necessary, and everybody's different.
Everybody's different. We don't have to go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, we're not
Yeah.
going down
Start
that
off
rabbit hole.
very simple. So nuts. You could do, like I said, a protein. You could do. I
You're
wouldn't
probably
do
not
fruit.
letting cheese.
I wouldn't do fruit. I wouldn't do dairy because that's a little too late at night. I wouldn't do like a hardcore grain, but maybe you can have like on a piece of sourdough or on a piece of French bread.
I love sourdough. That's right
You
up
could
my
do
alley.
like a nice maybe nut butter if you want. Just make sure the nut butter doesn't have a lot of sugar in it.
Okay.
It's pretty clean. You could probably do something like that. Anything that's got that protein component is going to really help with your cravings.
Okay.
So sugar tends to feed that craving. So you want to keep that in mind. Carbs tend to feed that craving, which chemically breaks down into sugar in the body. So typically sticking to like protein, vegetables, healthier fats, but just making sure not to do the fats in high amounts will help with those cravings later in the evening.
Okay.
Hey, Brad, let me ask you. It's about 10 or 11 after 8, and I'd love to get into the talk with her about immune system, like what we can do to improve our immune function. So I know she has her phone call at 9.
Right. Well, I tell
Do you want to say something to kind of break it up?
Yeah, let's go ahead and get her out of here real quick.
Okay.
And then hang on for a second and we'll come back. Will that work?
Sounds good.
All right. Thanks, Danielle. Russ, that was over an hour. It went super fast.
Yeah, she was really great. It's very helpful to people.
It is, because I'm learning a ton of stuff that I had no idea. None whatsoever.
That'll really help you out for the new year then.
It is going to help me out tremendously. I like sourdough bread. I love it. I thought it was a bread and it was bad for you.
You have to really make sure that, that the ones that they're making it with the actual bacteria, that they let it ferment, because sometimes when you go to Kroger's, it's just the quick ready bacteria, as opposed to, if you can find a local bakery or something. I used to have one here in Charleston I went to all the time, and I would love to have some of that with me. I carry it with me in the woods, and maybe have a clean butter or something I'd put on it.
Okay. Well, I'm going to do that. So, but anyway, follow us on Instagram.
Yes.
Email us, wideopenresearch@gmail.com. Go ahead and give me your spiel, Russ.
Love to hear any stories that you have. You can reach out to bigfootdoc.com, and, Brad and I will treat you with respect and won't show up at your house when you go in your backyard looking for Bigfoot.
Right. And Danielle Miranda, DanielleMiranda. Google her. She's on Facebook. You can contact her. She has something called the Unbroken Method. You can find her on there. She's a wonderful person. She's very knowledgeable. Reach out to her. She can help you out.
I know she's doing some consultations for people that are serious about wanting some help. They can reach out to her and she can help them with the process. That's one of the great things that we have now, is that, you can reach out to people all over the country.
Right. Absolutely. So,
okay.
All right, man. I'm going to play us out.
Okay.
Later.